Welcome to Pesto Comics Audio Edition. This is the entry for March 12th, 2025. Don't waste the daylight. You've lost an hour, don't waste the rest. Welcome back. It's been an interesting week for a whole host of reasons. I found myself in Denver for my brother's bachelor party following the Leafs on a road trip, while all kinds of news was breaking about tariffs between our countries. My anecdotal experience tells me everyone is unhappy about it. The good news seems to be that Section 321 remains intact regardless. This is what allows packages under $800 US to cross the US-Canada border unencumbered, which is great news for Pesto Comics in particular, as 70 to 80% of our backers are from the US. Although the tariffs on a comic, valued at $5 for customs purposes, wouldn't be enough to stop anyone from backing a comic, it's another point of friction which just might cause some to second guess. This will all pass eventually, but when you're in the middle of it, it can all really feel like it'll never end. The media is doing its job, letting us know about all of it as urgently and feverishly as possible, but giving it all of your attention helps nobody. There are things you can do on both sides of the border to improve situations, but it doesn't need to take up every moment of your day. Nor does it deserve to remain in your headspace for that long. Go create something. Go spend time with your family or furry friends. Read a book. Watch a movie. Make the most of your time, which is what I'm going to implore you to do today. But first, project updates. 3 days left to back from Parts Unknown number 2. We're a lot further from the stretch goals than I'd like to be. I'm not sure we're going to hit them this time, but at least we funded. Plus, we have a huge surge in backers and funding. If you look at the Pesto Comics release calendar at the end of this post, you'll know that the follow-ups aren't far behind, but that can only happen if we're successful with each launch, so at least we've cleared that barrier. That said, it's been pretty stagnant on Kickstarter across the board, but I'm really feeling it with this campaign. Here's hoping that not only this one ends strong, but From Parts Unknown number 3 does a lot better. We'll be launching that in just a few weeks. And now, on to the main story. It's time to spring forward. You've lost an hour last weekend. Somehow, days feel shorter and shorter in general, even though the sun stays up longer. It's hard to get everything done regardless of the kind of task. With so many demands and expectations, even just the need to rest and enjoy your life, you can feel like there's never enough time to do everything. I don't have the answers to most of it, to be honest. Yet, I've been able to get this newsletter out to all of you every week, while also launching 7 Kickstarter campaigns and releasing the weekly Instant Ink comic book podcast with my buddy Roberto Villacava. Full disclosure, I work from home and I don't have kids. This makes demands on my time a lot easier. I'm free to focus when I need to, but that doesn't mean I don't get overwhelmed, as I've overfilled my plate. I'm trying to use the time that I have to myself to do everything that I wished I had done over the past couple decades. I feel that lost hour as much as anyone else. Don't let fear hold you back. My biggest problem with getting started was fear. I know it's a cliche. It's exactly what everyone says. It's not like you're sitting in your basement, lying on the ground saying, "Oh my god, the keyboard is terrifying." That's not at all how it happens. Instead, what happens is you keep trying and failing, and trying and failing, and trying and failing. It doesn't even mean that you've actually put yourself out there and people are telling you that you're bad at it. It's that the image you have of yourself in your head doesn't match what you're doing. It is that you don't think you'll ever get to what you imagined. I'm pretty comfortable with the place I'm in. I'm doing pretty well on Kickstarter, but I could always be doing a lot better. I've mentioned in the past that aside from Naked Kaiju Woman, I'm not even breaking even on a lot of these comics I'm releasing. I'm really trying to play the long game here. And that's the truth of being productive. You have to remember that the success you're going to have in the long run is about the steps you take today. You just have to try. You might not see the progress right away, but consistent effort guarantees gradual improvement, visible over time. Just keep plugging away at it. Just look at what you've done wrong, try again, and do better next time. That only happens if you start taking steps forward. Don't let cliches be your only motivation. That last paragraph was a bit insufferable, if I'm being entirely honest with myself. It's hard not to speak in cliches when you're talking about motivation and productivity. It's just what it is. The fact is, the only way you're going to get things done is if you force yourself to. If you need to have a weird poster, a silly tattoo, or pictures of the person you'd like to be, use it. Whatever it is that gets you off the couch and gets you moving, that's what you need to do. If this all sounds useless to you, that's because you already know this. You don't need me to tell you. You just need to push yourself to try. It's not going to be easy for everyone. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for the most successful people. So it's certainly not going to be easy for you. And that's all right. That's part of it. The good news is, you don't have to do it alone. Don't hesitate to ask. I've been at this crowdfunding game for a while now, and although I'm not nearly the most successful of the lot, I'm more than willing and open to help. I really do believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. If you ever need help, if you're ever feeling like you have questions that you're just not finding the answers to out there, by all means, feel free to reach out. I'm going to go ahead and speak for all the other folks out there that are running Kickstarter campaigns and say that most of them are willing to do the exact same. They've done it for me. They've all been pretty open. The truth is that we're all just getting started out there. Even the ones that are really successful, we're all relatively reachable. One key thing to keep in mind though, no one's going to do it for you. We're happy to provide advice and guidance, but you have to put in the work. You have to show that you're serious about all this. That's how you're going to get the help you need to reach the next level. There's no shame in asking for advice, but there is if you're asking people to do it for you with nothing in return. Getting organized. The easiest way to be consistent is to be organized. I've talked to many artists who say this is the bane of their existence, and yet the ones I'm willing to work with the most are the ones that are relatively organized. We're all going to miss things. We're not perfect, but if everyone's doing their part to try and be organized, things will get done. Plus, when you're organized, it all happens a lot easier for you. Plans put themselves together as everything has its place. That's the whole point. It's much harder to build a plane in the air than it is on the ground. Even with this newsletter as an example, I know what I'll be writing from about now through December. I have projects lined up for both Kickstarter and Kindle Unlimited for the next year and a half. I know the targets that I have for all of these campaigns and what I'll need to do for the sake of a budget. I work with multiple contractors, artists, colorists, editors, and more. I work to wrangle guests for the Instant Ink comic book podcast. I have multiple projects in various stages of production and fulfillment. I have a list of all kinds of things that I need to keep on top of. I can only do this if I have systems in place to keep it all organized and clear. How you stay organized is up to you. There's all kinds of tools out there to help you, like Todoist and Trello. Or you could just use a spreadsheet, which I tend to favor over most of these tools, even though I use the two I just mentioned. Post-it notes, or a notebook, or just whatever is going to keep you on task is fine too. Whatever keeps you on track is the tool you should use. Experiment. See what works. Drop what doesn't. Planning is limiting. I say this, but I don't entirely mean it. I'm really excited to have all the projects that I have planned over the next year and a half on the docket, and I'm very excited to work on all of them. But sometimes I do feel like the joy is gone with my life booked solid. I like some spontaneity. I like knowing that a new project can pop up at any time. The truth is, the plan isn't written in stone. If I have to make a move here or there, I'm not ashamed to do it. I have projects that I've announced that I've had to pull back on because it either didn't work out with the artist, or maybe it's something I was going to try myself and didn't fully work out, and it's okay. The point is that you know where things fit in the plan and what's replacing what. More importantly, if you feel like you're lacking that spontaneity and you want to work on something different, that's okay too. You can make time for projects that are outside of the planned ones. I still write short stories on the side and enter them into contests while I'm doing all this other stuff. I don't do it nearly as much as I want, but I make sure to make time for it. This way I don't feel the pressure of the coming slate, as though I'm forced to only write what I've planned. It's led to all kinds of new projects that extend the plan out further, but without a plan, none of it sees the light of day, and there's no fun in that. You only get so many hours a year. An hour has been taken away from you, but it's going to be given back to you in the fall. Have a plan for what you're going to do with that extra hour. I'm not being a hustle bro about it, though it may feel like it. I hate hustle culture. It's usually an excuse to push you past your brink to help someone else make money off your sweat. I'm not recommending that at all. This is for you. If you want to spend that extra hour to catch up on your sleep or watch some TV, spend some time with your loved ones, that's all good. But the point is that you don't waste the time you have by regretting. Plan, act, be happy. Until next time. Coming up on the Substack, March 19th, beginning the season, Toronto Comic Con, Toronto FC, and getting some fresh air. And on March 26th, schedule congestion, having so much to release and not enough weeks to do it. And April 2nd, round 3 from Parts Unknown, back before you could miss it. And as far as upcoming appearances go, I mentioned last week I will be at TCAF this year tabling. Very excited for that one. I'm still waiting to hear back about Fan Expo Canada, and have been officially put on the waitlist for both Montreal Comic Con and Ottawa Comic Con this year. So we'll see if I end up tabling at either of those. And where I'll be attending this year is Toronto Comic Con this Saturday. I'll be checking that out before I head to the TFC game in the afternoon. So I'll only be there for a handful of hours. But if you're there, feel free to come try and find me. I'll likely be wearing my TFC gear as I head to the game in the afternoon. And I'll be at the Toronto Indie Authors Conference. That is April 26th and 27th. Similarly, on the Saturday, I will be rushing to a TFC game in the afternoon, but I will be there all day Sunday and waiting for tickets to New York Comic Con, and still really strongly considering Author Nation. I haven't booked my ticket yet. I know the early bird time is coming up soon, so keeping that very much in mind. And the Pesto Comics release calendar, it's still very chock full of all kinds of projects. We are tentatively planning the release of From Parts Unknown number 3 on August 2nd. That's just in a few short weeks, with From Parts Unknown number 2 ending this week. So I highly recommend don't wait for number 3 if you want to get any of the cool deals and any of the bundles out there. Now's the time to grab them if you're looking for all those variant covers and that. That said, From Parts Unknown number 3 will have a lot of cool bundles and all that as well. And then, of course, mid-May, we're looking to launch both number 4 and number 5, assuming that I have JP working on the colors for number 4 right now, and Daniel is delivering the last handful of pages for number 5. So ideally this date sticks, and hopefully we can launch mid-May. That's the hope. Hopefully those campaigns do very well. We'll see how that all plays out. And then, of course, there's a secret project for the Heartstrings and Hardback event in July on Kickstarter. That's a sci-fi romance novel that I'm working on right now. Hoping to get that out to the editor very soon so that we're ready for launch in July. And August is the big one. Naked Kaiju Woman number 2. That'll be launching right now on August 13th. That's where I have it placed right now. So hopefully that all goes together with another unknown, unannounced secret comic in September. And if all things go well, Naked Kaiju Woman number 3 in November. I'm really hoping that I can maintain the schedule. As far as the release schedule here, again, this is all very tentative as things need to be done in time to launch them. I hate launching without actually having the books mostly done, so I'm more than happy to shuffle things around as needed, but this is their calendar as it is today. Be sure to check every week as I update this as we go if anything does happen to change. And what's coming up on the Instant Ink Comic Book Podcast? It's the second half of our conversation with Chris O'Hara of Bentbox Comics. We had a lot of fun talking to him. The page ends up looking really cool, so definitely worth checking out that podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcasting platforms, as well as Instagram if you're just into the shorts, which, if I'm being entirely honest, seems to be what most people are into. So feel free to check out those shorts. I've reformatted them a little bit so that they look a lot cooler. I'm also ramping down the frequency of how many do come out because I do find that they do cannibalize each other. So if you want all of the details, definitely check out the full podcast. I do use the time codes there so you can skip to each topic if you don't want to follow along from beginning to end. I totally understand that. And that's it for this week. You may hear in my voice I'm not feeling as energetic as I normally am. That's because I just returned from Denver last night, so I'm still feeling a little bit of jet lag. I'm still feeling a little bit tired. I did get a good night's sleep and all that. It does catch up with you a little bit, so I'm just not feeling the juice today as I get through my work day. Took my lunch break to record this podcast. So I'm just not 100% myself. I'm surrounded by copies of Big Smoke Pulp Volume 1. I am in the basement of my home and I am absolutely surrounded by these books, so I'm very excited to get them packaged up and off to all the backers. There's about 81 packages being put together. There's a handful of people who haven't responded to their surveys, so they'll probably be waiting a little bit longer, but very excited to get these out and on their way. And then the other piece is I'm finalizing the quotes from the printers for Naked Kaiju Woman. That is going to be more like 600 packages, so 81 is going to feel like child's play once those packages start coming in. But I'm very excited to start getting all these out and fulfilled. And with From Parts Unknown number 2 ending this week, I'll have even more to fulfill in a couple weeks as well. So it's just going to be a constant onslaught of fulfillment and packages and all kinds of things. And I'm very excited for all of it. I can't wait to get everything out there. So it's just a matter of time before I'm ready to go with all that business. I have a couple more exciting things coming up that I haven't talked about. With Big Smoke Pulp getting in everyone's hands, my next plan is to get that up on Kindle Unlimited for people to read that way. And then the goal is to have that up there for the minimum 90-day window before it goes wide and is available on all of your favorite digital platforms. I'll be doing a formal announcement once I actually have the date and everything is set and ready for launch on Kindle Unlimited. I'll be toying with some Amazon ads and all that business too to make sure it gets in front of as many people as possible. And hopefully we can start recouping even more costs on all of that. And it'll be a good test to see how we do Big Smoke Pulp Volume 2 as well. You may have seen that it's fallen off the calendar a little bit in terms of at least doing a Kickstarter campaign for it. As good as that was, right now I'm a little more interested in keeping all the Pesto comics stuff going. I also have a handful of novella series that I'm trying to get out there, so I want to put some more focus on that work before I look at getting another anthology together, but that'll be done in the near future as well, at least the call for entries, so I'm hoping to get that all together soon. But yeah, the schedule is definitely starting to weigh on me a little bit, if I'm being entirely honest. And it's not something I didn't expect. It's more going on vacation for the week, as much fun as I had and as relaxing as it was to not have to really think about anything. Coming back and having it all waiting for me is the most stressful part of all of this. So I'm really looking forward to getting some progress. I think the big thing is getting fulfillment done and just having everybody with books in their hands. That plus not seeing the movement while I was gone wasn't the best feeling. Again, we're funded. I'm happy to have it at that level, but I'm just not seeing the same level of excitement for this series as I did for Naked Kaiju Woman. Not unsurprising, of course. I want every one of my projects to succeed beyond my wildest dreams, right? It's just not always going to be the case. I went in a niche of a niche, so it is what it is. So we barrel forward. We're going to make sure that this series does see its natural end with issue 5. It's all in production and done, so it's more just about getting it out there for the fans that do appreciate it. I do know that there are people who really do enjoy this story and really have been into it. So I'm hoping that we find more of those people, and maybe when we have a complete story out there, we could really start getting it out to folks and people really appreciate the total package, the total story that we've put together. It's always hard with an issue 2 of 5 to expect too many people to jump on. So hopefully when we're at 4 and 5, we get a lot more. But we're in the middle of number 2 right now, and it's just not hitting those high notes, of course. I'm feeling a little bit down about it, but things will come around, I'm sure. And like the whole point of this post, it's you just put your head down and you keep getting to work and you move forward. So more than anything, this post was for me to remind myself of all this. I hope it's very fruitful for you to remember to stay productive. Don't let the outside get in your head, and you just keep working. It'll pay off at some point. What do they say? Luck is the combination of preparedness and opportunity, right? It's you being prepared for the opportunity. So the only way you're going to do that is if you keep working and keep pushing forward. And again, I hate the hustle bro stuff. I hate the, you just work 24/7. And no, rest and relaxation is a big part of that. Just doing the work isn't enough. It's a holistic view. But at the same time, it has to be a balance, meaning you do have to put the work in when it's time to work. And that's really important. And it's something I have to remind myself. So I'm happy I had the rest and relaxation that I've had. And I'm hoping that'll help me really push through this next month and a half of fulfillment, plus the numerous campaigns that'll be coming in the next few months. But with all that, I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to start putting packages together. And I'm going to thank you for listening. We'll talk again next week. Thank you very much.